and welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah, and 6 years ago I made a video saying, "Dear Netflix, please make these adaptations." And did they listen to me? No. And I don't expect them to listen to me 6 years later, but I beg, I plead, I'm on my knees, not literally, hoping that with all of the other amazing horror adaptations that we are seeing, that they add these 10 books to their list. These are books that I think would translate really well into either a TV series or a film. I am not fussy. I just want to be able to see them with my eyes in the quality and care that projects like Project Hail Mary, Frankenstein and others have had with great book adaptations to film and TV, etc. Not just exclusive from Netflix. Other production services are available. It works when I say, I beg Netflix. Dear Netflix, I beg, you know, it just works. So the first horror book that I would love to see translated into a film or TV series is Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. This is about a woman who returns to her family home when her mother is dying of cancer. Her father has already passed away in prison, and we find out pretty quickly that her father was a serial killer. But there is something living in the walls, both literally and metaphorically. It is deeply insidious, dark, twisted, and I just feel like it would translate really well into a TV series or film with those kind of vignettes of haunted house type vibes, a sentient house kind of aesthetic. I just feel like this would work, and I really want to see it. So this is number one. Please turn Just Like Home into a TV series or film. The next one is Bat Eater, which is actually the most recent of these books that I've read, and I really like the kind of grandscape insidious nature of who the villain in this story is. Bat Eater follows a young girl called Cora. She is Asian American, but she feels very torn between both her Asian side of her family and her English side of the family, and how those two cultures don't often mix well. They certainly don't mix well in her, and she feels very kind of ostracized, even more so after witnessing the death of her sister who was far more gregarious than she was. She becomes a crime scene cleaner, and like I feel like you could even adapt this into it's just her solving crimes kind of way. It wouldn't even necessarily need to follow that traditional like book to film format, because she starts to notice similarities in the crime scenes she's cleaning, and horrible things start to happen. It is both psychological and supernatural. So again, much like Just Like Home, having that supernatural element I feel like would really translate well to a TV or film production, and I really enjoyed it. It's a really good horror. It is gory, like there's lots of blood and stuff like that, but it's not one of those ones where it's grotesque or kind of over the top. It's far more like insidious, slow burn gothic. I actually buddy read this with people from work, and they were both shocked and surprised by how much it didn't get them. Like they weren't as scared by it as they thought they were going to be. And I feel like The Haunting of Hill House, for example, did so well because it translated those kinds of gothic themes. This could be the next one, and has BIPOC, disability and LGBT rep. What more could you want? It would probably be really meta to turn My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones into a film, and that's kind of why I want it to happen. I feel like the Scream franchise has been a powerhouse franchise for meta like horror slasher jokes and kind of self-referential, to the point that it's now become this own monster like of itself, whereas My Heart is a Chainsaw would kind of give new life to those tropes without, you know, stamping on old territory. I really like the mixture of supernatural monsters, classic slashers, final girl elements. There's like a real nice mix when you read this of like essay non-fiction vibe with the actual narrative, and I feel like that again would translate really well into these like episodic moments following the main character as she tries to save her town from a monster. I just feel like it would be a good time, and I'd watch it, and I'd put my money towards it. I mean, I already have. I've read all 3 books. They're really good. There's lots of source material on Netflix, and plus BIPOC author. Own voices. We love to see it. I don't know how this would be done, because I feel like Horror Store kind of is in its perfect format in the fact that it looks like an IKEA catalogue. But having said that, we've got another haunted building slasher horror that I feel would make a really good Ready or Not style film. I feel like you could be a lot more camp with this one. I feel like it wouldn't need to take itself as seriously as some of the other... Can you see my glasses are steaming up? That's how hot in the face I am getting excited about this. Like, I feel like you could really lean into the cheesier side of horror, because one of the things that anyone will tell you about pathos is you have to have a mixture of both. You need to have the ups with the downs, otherwise you're laughing at things you shouldn't be laughing at. And I feel like Grady Hendrix' style of writing doesn't always hit for me, but this one really did. And I feel like the comedic elements of this are what make it such a good horror, and lean into it. Like, there are so many actors I think would suit these roles down to a T and make it funny and make it genuine in that Ryan Gosling Project Hail Mary kind of way, but for horror. And there's got to be an IKEA that you can borrow to like film it, and that can't be too expensive, right? Of course Mexican Gothic is on this list. Of course it is. I want romantic Gothic. Like, we know that mushrooms have done very well on TV, and I feel like what we're missing is a Latinx female protagonist trying to solve crimes. And again, we wouldn't have to stick to the source material. We could just have this as like the first of many mysteries, or the penultimate mystery. I feel like the idea of her becoming this very well-dressed, adorable super sleuth, like, we don't have to keep going back to Agatha Christie. We could be making up our own, basing it in Mexico. Just saying. Equally, opportunities for neurodivergent rep and LGBT rep in horrors. I don't understand why we're still making ones like One of Us is Lying, or There's Someone Watching You, whatever it is the Netflixy baby teen ones are, when we could be doing the adult stuff that's darker and gorier and funnier. Like, Camp Damascus has been here the whole time, guys. Like, we could absolutely, this would make such a good film. This follows a main character called Rose, who starts to notice this demon following her, and she can't work out what it is until she realizes that the demon only appears when she starts thinking about girls, and she finds out that somehow her own past is related to Camp Damascus, which is a conversion therapy camp in her hometown. And it gets really twisted really quick, and it's really good, and it's very like Last of Us in energy, even though it has nothing to do with mushrooms at all. I feel like this has like a real kind of like Until Dawn, Silent Hill kind of energy, and I feel like it would work really well. So give Chuck Tingle more money and make a thing. Another kind of horror genre that is doing really, really well is the teen and YA and middle grade horrors, like Goosebumps, Fear Street, etc. And I feel like Dreadwood would add to that kind of repertoire. I feel like the fact that this is a middle grade to early YA makes it far more palatable in the kind of like monster horror that it is. I feel like, again, it has that kind of like, it has that like Nightmare on Elm Street element where you have like a bunch of kids trying to survive. And I feel like, again, the writing kind of lends itself to that kind of like episodic following of instances, and plus it's a really good time. So again, I feel like this one would be really, really great to see on screen. I really like the characters. You've got 4 misfit characters who don't really like each other, but they come to like each other by the end, and it's all just, it just works. You've got the misfits that misfits and misunderstand each other, but then have to save each other and solve whatever it is they've got to solve. I don't want to spoil it, but like, it's good. It's good, and you should read it. I feel like with so many adaptations of Stephen King books at this point, why not something that's like that, but better? In the Weight of Blood is essentially Carrie, but with witches like more heavily like embedded into the main character, but also the fact that she's BIPOC. She's not just this weird kid because she's got a weird family. She's weird because she is BIPOC passing as white because her father's a racist. Like, it's dark, it's messed up, but it's so, so good. And at the heart of it is a love story. So we love to see that. And I feel like, again, like the costume design in this could be so fun. You could very much era set this. You know, I just feel like it would be a good time. I just feel like there's a lot of BIPOC actors that would work really well in this, and I want to see it. I want to see it on my screen. And then the last one, with like Yellow Jackets and Little Cherry and these other like girl group horrors that have been coming out. Why haven't we done Sword Kill Girls yet by Claire Legrand? This is about 3 girls living on an island, and there is a literal demon on the island eating girls, and they've either got to help him or stop him. They've got, you know, fight their battles and do what they can, and the island is trying to help them. The island is trying to assist them. And then to make it worse, there's a secret society of men also trying to kill them. I feel like in this like post-wave feminism, horror, slasher, girly thriller time, why haven't we made this yet? Why is it not a thing yet? Netflix, get on that. And I feel like I rapid fired through this, so this is not going to be a long video. We're here, we've made it to the end. But wouldn't, like, come on. we know these would all be great. And if you don't know, if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, Hannah, you're just ranting about these books and telling me how good they'd be on screen, read them and see this video for what it really was. Have I convinced you? Would you turn any of these into a TV series or film via Netflix? Or do you have a better recommendation? Leave it in the comments down below. If you just want to let me know you were here, feel free to leave a bat emoji. Treat yourself to something from Waypoint Books because it supports me and my content. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check out all of those links down below because I've got a Patreon now. And most importantly, have a nice day.